McGregor. It's going to, it's going to bring back little Mortal Kombat reference.
Yes.
So, now we're all in trouble, right? So to make things more exciting, Obi-Wan Kenobi will see the return of Hayden Christensen, Darth Vader. Of course, the plot details are still being kept under wraps, and we pretty much figure that Obi-Wan's going to be living by himself, but you basically have this entire supporting cast where, and we covered this when we did that one show about, we revealed the cast of the Obi-Wan series.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be really interesting to see what all these people are doing. Because you have these compartmentalized stories. You have what Vader's doing, and you have kind of what Obi-Wan's doing. But it's going to be really interesting to see how this stuff. Now, beyond McGregor and Christensen, as the article is basically saying, it's including a number of the actors that we covered in the show. If you guys want to check that out, be sure after you're done watching this live stream to go back and actually check out the one series reveal or cast reveal that we did. Because, Kang was one of those guys that I think was revealed later. I mean, he made it in time. Obviously, we talked about him on that show, but I think he was one of the later cast members added to it. And we still don't have too many details about any of these characters, really. But as we pointed out then, and this article points it out, you can see it there toward the bottom, Kang might play an Inquisitor. So I think that that's pretty much a foregone conclusion here. So let's get past, this ad. And of course, it basically just goes on to talk about how, he's got the role in Fast 9 and all that stuff, and how he's enjoying a little bit of a thing. But here's what's interesting. Then he says, I used to dress up in the cheap Kmart plastic Halloween costumes, Skywalker and Darth Vader almost every day. So he was talking about, from the time he was 8 to the time he was 13, this guy's basically been a Star Wars fan. And I think that that's awesome that they're actually getting Star Wars fans to play these characters, because this is basically contrasting people like Oscar Isaacs, who, although he was a fan of Star Wars, now he's basically going, well, if I need a new house or something, I'll come back. But I think that these guys are really invested in it in here to say. So he's talking about how, they would pretend they would make their own lightsabers out of, paper towel tubes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But it's the very end of this where our show is somewhat concentrated. And, he's talking about how he had to pinch himself and go, how did I even end up here? And then he says, and my character has a lightsaber, to go, what? It's not a toy. It's actually the real thing, right? So it's so cool. And so again, he's just basically talking about the whole thing. And he kind of adds that almost as an aside or an afterthought or something. But it's
and if you bring that article right back up, Eric, there's also a point that
you're talking about that little section?
That little section. So it also says, so when they were playing with, the paper tubes and stuff like that, and he said, and to be able to be on set and see Darth Vader and see the Star Wars universe in front of me. See, that's the part right there that triggered me, because I'm like, okay. And then he's saying he has a lightsaber too. So it's like, okay, you specifically mentioned Vader. So that just kind of just makes me feel like, okay,
right, that he's in his presence. It wasn't like you just saw him walking across the lot, like, hey,
he's going to the cafeteria or something.
Yeah, and it's not Hayden Christensen, it's Vader. Because, it goes down, and of course, you get these cool composites. And it's saying that, once again, it's kind of confirming that, this guy's probably going to wield a lightsaber. And what's weird is there's this theory that he might be playing the fifth brother. And I think we actually talked about that at one point, too. Because we were talking about what Inquisitor he might play or whatever.
Right.
And he uses the same model lightsaber as a Grand Inquisitor. And it reminds us that Kang's character hasn't been confirmed yet. There's still technically a chance he's playing someone else. But I don't know, man. I just happen to think that just given everything that we've seen,
and see, the Grand Inquisitor is like almost like
Rose.
You know?
Yeah, you're kind of breaking up a little bit. But here's the only thing that's kind of weird, though. He talks about his character as having a sexual deliciousness. So you gotta wonder what that means. I don't really see Grand Inquisitors as sexual beings. Not that I see any dude as one, but
well, I don't.
Uh-oh. Looks like you're you're kind of freezing there.
No, man, that
Uh-oh. You there?
Yeah. Let me pop out. Come back in.
Okay, you're gonna pop out and come back in? Alright. So yeah, I mean, I think that this is once again where we see that at times, not always, but at times, and this is what frustrates me about Lucasfilm sometimes, is a reveal just enough to sort of make you think one thing, right? Like they're going in one direction, then all of a sudden they'll throw in little things. Actors will throw in little things that, you know, make it a little bit different. And I don't know. I personally think that, you know, it could just be the way he looks. I mean, I don't know. Were you thinking that maybe that line is just in there just because of the overall look of the character, or do you think that it actually is telling us something? You know?
Well, I think, you know, I mean, if you really like, they kind of have this kind of domination. Kind of, I could keep getting that from, especially was a fifth sister or third sister.
Oh yeah,
the one who had, like, she kind of had like more of a sexual overtone or undertone to her.
That's true.
You know, she kind of had, like, she would even how she would even information out of Ezra, the way she talked to him, and you know, just it was kind of in a sensual manner. So I could kind of see that, you know, that, and especially like I said, and that all black, the whole form fitting thing. So maybe he feels like, you know, he's too sexy for his shirt or something. I don't know. I just think, you know,
well, it's going to be interesting.
This really will be interesting just to see how he depicts this particular character.
Yeah, because I'm actually interested. Obviously, there's a lot of different ways that you can go on this thing, right? Because there's the, first of all, you know, who's he actually playing?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, why he's actually playing the character the way that he's playing the character. Because those are the things that you have to really look at. And that's where I think that we're going to have a little bit of a, I don't know. It's like on one hand, there's a few different ways that you can look at this. But on the other hand, it's just so difficult to really pin it down unless we know for sure, one, is he playing the Inquisitor? Two, which one is he playing? Because like you said, that's going to affect it a little bit.
Well, if he has a lightsaber, more like the Grand Inquisitors, and most of the Inquisitors do kind of have that whole style of, you know, the circle with the bar in the middle, and then it has the spinning. It kind of rotates, and then you have the blades on the outside, and they're double bladed. So once again, we'll actually see in live action another bladed saber. So that would be cool, because the only time we've ever really seen that was with Maul.
Yeah.
So to see that again, and now, because, like, you know how excited we were when we saw the dark saber, and how like it was exactly like you saw it in the animation.
Oh, I know.
Like no different. Like it was just
so cool.
That was so sweet to me. So the version of an Inquisitor's lightsaber, I mean, I'm all for it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess,
and to see how someone duels with that too, because it's one thing to see it duel in the animation, it's another to see like how Ewan McGregor, goes up against the live version of that. You see what I'm saying? Like, what type of movements are we going to see, and how is that going to work? You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this is just going to be one of those things that, obviously we can talk about it probably longer if we had a lot more information. But, it's one of those things where it's a speculating game right now, which is fine. I mean, this is one of the fun things about being a Star Wars fan is that you could sit here and you could figure it all out, and then you get a little bit more information, and you're like, oh, okay, now let's talk about it some more, with this new info. And I think that that's one of those things that makes it great to be a Star Wars fan all the way across the board, because it makes you wonder. And this is one of the things that I've always wondered about the Obi Wan series, is even though it's taking place at this very specific period of time, which is really no different than the Clone Wars or even Rebels, I'm wondering if they're going to actually start seeding out some of these characters into their other post Return of the Jedi series.
Yeah, I mean that's a possibility. It's fun because they even asked Liam Neeson about this, and he even has some thoughts on it.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's excited for the Obi-Wan series. He's excited to see what they do with that character, and he's been talking about the spin-offs. Like, man, I remember when it was just like one movie, and now it's all these different spin-off shows, which is cool because it's once again it's expanding the universe. But he was about how, people used to ask him, oh, can you sign this for my kid? Now people are like, oh, can you sign this for my dad, for my granddad? Like, there's so many generations that are watching Star Wars now, and they're all kind of meeting it in one big area. So,
well,
it's cool.
It makes me wonder, right? Because there's been a lot of speculation that he's going to reprise his role as Qui-Gon, as a Force Ghost. This, at first glance, this seems like he's just going to be watching it like the rest of us. But if you really read between the lines, as all of us Star Wars fans generally do, you could see where he's coyly maybe trying to keep a